welcome back to Cruising as Crew. My name is Lucy and today I wanted to talk about the mess. So for those of you who don't know, the mess is where the crew eat. So if you guys have been watching for a while, you will know that the mess is usually pretty shit. And a lot of people wonder why. They're like, well, cruise ships are renowned for food. So why is it so crap for the crew? There is obviously a budget for the food in the mess. And there is one person in charge of that budget. But the mistake I think that cruise lines make is they offer a bonus to this person in charge if they can go under budget. So you've basically got this person trying to feed all of the crew on a ship for under budget so that they can get a bonus. And it's just a really crap system. Like, why is there a bonus being offered for coming under budget for food for the crew? Like, it isn't a good business strategy. When the crew isn't fed well, they're not in a good mood, and when they're not in a good mood, they don't deliver a good service to the guests or the sailors. So, but anyway, that is why generally the food is so crap. It's because it is as cheap as they can get it. And if you go on a ship and you go to the mess where the food is a little bit better, like Virgin Voyages, I know that the mess on Silversea is very good for the crew. It's because they don't have this system in place. There is a budget for the food in the mess, but there isn't a bonus for coming under budget. They're like, no, we've given you a budget, so spend it. Don't come under, don't go over. And that's when you notice that the food is better. So the first thing I want to touch on is like dietary restrictions. It is really difficult to eat in the mess if you have dietary restrictions. My friend, for example, is allergic to seafood. My other friend is lactose intolerant. So like when I worked on P&O, pretty much all I would eat for lunch and dinner is dal and rice, because that was the only thing that was vegetarian. On P&O, there was like a Westerners section, which was literally pizza, burgers, chips, beef and gravy, Yorkshire puddings and vegetables, but they had been cooked within an inch of their life. So, but it would all contain meat, and if there was like a pasta dish, it would be like carbonara with ham or tomato pasta with sausage chorizo bits in. So it would always have meat in it. So literally the only thing that I could find that was veggie is dal and rice, dal and white rice. And then again, for my friend that was lactose intolerant, everything in the Westerner section had cheese on it. And then everything in like the Asian section was cooked with milk or cream or something like that. So it was really, really difficult for her to find something to eat that wouldn't give her horrendous cramps afterwards. Now, if you do have dietary restrictions, you basically need to make a note of this when you join. You need to tell medical and they will put it in your records, and then you will get a special treatment. Like if you are allergic to seafood, for example, you can't risk eating that stuff, so they will make special arrangements for you. However, what you're going to get instead of that isn't great. Like everything, you will get into a rhythm and it will become easier to find stuff to eat, because you'll just, like after a few months, you'll just instinctively know what you can and can't have. Because, you know, things are served repeatedly in the mess. It's not like there's new dishes all the time. You know, it's normally on like a 2-week or 3-week rotation, and you'll kind of just get into your groove with what you can have. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on that because it is going to be difficult for you to find stuff to eat in the mess if you have dietary restrictions. But just like I said, it's important that you let the medical staff know, let the people in the mess know, because the thing is as well, like they're really bad at labeling stuff. Like there was so many times on like Royal and P&O, I'd have a poke around of something and be like, okay, this looks vegetarian, I'd be eating it and it wasn't, and it's so annoying. And then like my friend who's allergic to seafood, I remember he had a poke around, was like, okay, this is vegetarian, but he is also allergic to seafood. He actually asked the person behind the counter as well, like, is this vegetarian? And they said yes. And then it turned out that it had seafood in, and he had to go to the medical centre. Now that was, I mean, a blessing in disguise, because after that, it just so happened that things got labelled a lot better. because he almost died. But this is the thing, something that I always push with whatever cruise line I go on is labelling food more. Like if there is ever, there will be suggestion boxes, they always do suggestion boxes on like what they can improve on. Get the food labelled and make sure the staff know like what's veggie, what has meat in, what has seafood in, because it can kill someone. Like, so it is going to be tough, you will get into a rhythm, but just get friendly with the mess staff and, you know, make sure they know what your dietary restrictions are so they can tell you whether, you know, what has what inside of it. Now, something that I'm always really happy about on Virgin is there's like a whole dessert section. Like every day there's a different dessert and it has been made specifically for the crew mess. And it's always really, really tasty. Whereas on other cruise lines, the dessert would be what was left over from the buffet. Like it had obviously just been sat out for hours and it wasn't made specifically for the crew. And sometimes it was like the day after, which meant that it was not as good as it should have been. But you will find that in the mess, like a lot of things are left over. Fruit, I mean on P&O I don't think, we never had fruit in the mess unless it was left over from the buffet, which is mad, but that's how it is. So like on here we do have loads of fruit options, which is amazing. And it's funny because you obviously get used to what you have on a regular basis, but when I think back to how it was on other cruise lines, I really have to like thank my lucky stars for how good it is on here. Like there's always fruit, there's always dessert options, there's always vegetarian options, there's always salad. Which again on other ships, like there was a bit of limp lettuce, maybe some tomatoes and cucumber, whereas on here you have like mushrooms, peppers, gherkins, cheese for your salad, like everything that you could want. The meat in the mess is always pretty crap. I was going to say questionable, but it's just rubbish. I mean, if you have the chicken, it is going to be dry. If you have the beef, it's going to be dry. Basically, any meat always seems to be extremely overcooked. This is obviously what I've been told. The fish, really hit and miss with the fish, actually. It will either be really, really fishy, like disgustingly fishy, or it'll taste fine, but it'll be full of bones. Now, some of you guys might not mind that. I don't like fussy food. If you are like eating meat for the protein, like if that's your main reason for eating the meat, because trust me, you won't be enjoying eating the meat in the mess. You will just be eating it for protein or whatever you want, whatever you feel you get out of it. Just get protein powder. And I know it's not the best way of getting protein, but it's better to get some than none, because you won't be getting any from the meat, because it's... So get protein powder. You can order it on Amazon when you are on board, or you can just bring it on board with you. But yeah, protein powder is the way forward with that one, because, I mean, you'll see when you get on board. And then I always find when you're on cruise ships, it's really funny when you look at the kind of combinations you have, because let's say you were at home and you were having a Sunday dinner, you would have a piece of meat with veg, you know, like carrots, peas, Yorkshire puddings, gravy, maybe mashed potatoes or roast potatoes. Or you would have like pasta with meatballs and a tomato sauce, or burger and chips, or pizza and salad, or like a slice of pie or a slice of quiche and vegetables, or like, I don't know, stir fry with prawn crackers. You know what I mean? Like there's typical combinations of food that you would usually eat at home. And I feel like in the mess, and it's even the same on Virgin, like although the food on Virgin is good and each individual dish is actually cooked well and it tastes good, they're not very good at putting out combinations of food. So I've taken pictures of people's food just like for reference. So look at this, it's like noodles with teriyaki sauce and a slice of salmon. And then in this one, here we have a slice of salmon with peppers, cold beans, and then in the corner there is like a half-eaten Yorkshire pudding. But like you would never just have peppers, salmon and a Yorkshire pudding at home. It's just weird combinations. And I do find that when you're on board, you do have to kind of mix things up and be a little bit of a chef yourself, because with the food that you're given, to create something that's enjoyable to eat, you are going to have to mix some pretty strange things with each other. But you know what? It's good to try different things, and it's actually introduced me to combinations that I would have never usually had together. So that's nice. But you will find that when you come on board, the combinations of food that you have are really bizarre. And it's funny because you probably won't pay much attention to it usually, but if you do just bring your attention to the combinations of food you have, I'm sure that you'll understand what I mean. I think that's all I really have to say about the mess. Which, you know, this video is kind of unstructured. I just wanted to just talk about the mess for a little bit because I felt like I had some stuff to say. So I hope you have found it helpful. If you haven't, I'm sorry. And if you have, that's great. But I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, whatever you decide to do. Please press like and subscribe if you enjoy my content, because it really helps me out with the algorithm. And I will see you in the next video, guys.